Ahsoka is coming out on Disney Plus later this month. So I wanted to take time today to rank the live action Star Wars films that are in the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy in the order of what I think each film, how it did, with like its acting, its visual effects, the plot, and the meaning, overall meaning to the story. So we're gonna rank those today. Of course, you may have a different list than me, so if you have a different ranking, let me know in the comments, and we can discuss that and figure out which film is ultimately deserves to be in each spot. But this is kind of the ranking that I have for each Star Wars film, and the first one being the one that I didn't like the most, and then the last one that I say is gonna be the one that I like the best. So the first one that I really didn't like, it was terrible, was The Last Jedi. Now I went to the theaters to watch this film, and I thought it wasn't terrible, but the more that I watched it and the more that I thought about it, it has such a weak plot. The plot is so weak. They kill off Luke Skywalker, who is really the main hero of the whole Star Wars trilogies at that point, and they kill him off. And they do it in a way where he just is force projected to fight Kylo Ren. It really felt like a lame way for him to go out. I mean, it would have been better if he died in battle and was actually there rather than force projecting himself. There was other things about this film that just weren't that great. There was an entire detour with Finn where he and somebody else went off on this whole side plot kind of thing to rescue some animals. So it really was weird. A terrible film. I did not like it at all. I wouldn't watch it again if you had to make me. Coming in at number 8 is its sequel to The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine returning was probably the stupidest thing that Star Wars could have done. There is no way that Emperor Palpatine would have survived the explosion of the Death Star and Return of the Jedi. I think that was an overused plot, and it was so stupid. Like, I'm shaking my head the entire film. Like, are you serious? This was all about trying to get Kylo Ren and Rey together and give Rey the ultimate opportunity to prove herself as a Jedi. Taking Rey Skywalker as her last name, it made me cringe. It was a terrible film. I would almost Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker are interchangeable for me. They were both terrible films. I did not like them worse than the Star Wars franchise of all time as of this date. Coming in at number 7 is The Phantom Menace. I really love the Darth Maul scene. I love seeing Qui-Gon teach Obi-Wan how to be a better Jedi. I think Liam Neeson did a great job. There's no hate on him, but Jar Jar Binks, everybody knows, was the problem with this film. He's called Jar Jar Binks and all his stupid stuff he said and being stupid. I mean, I know it's supposed to be comedy, but he was overused to the point where he made the film not fun to watch because instead of being serious, we got this thing walking around being annoying. So it was a great film to start the Star Wars trilogies, the start the prequel trilogy, but it wasn't the best. It could have been better, and removing Jar Jar Binks, I think, would have done it a big favor. Coming in at number 6 is actually The Force Awakens. Now, I don't think The Force Awakens was a terrible film. I think that it was great to be able to bring back the Star Wars back to the big screen. I think a lot of people were really excited about that. I think they did a good job introducing new characters like Rey, Finn, and Poe, and BB-8. It was a really great film because we were like, oh, we're going to go find Luke Skywalker. It's going to be so exciting. That was exciting. But then they went and killed Han Solo. And I really love Han Solo, so that really was upsetting for me, the fact that they went and killed off Han. And that just it made it go up on my ranking scale where I didn't like the movie too much because they killed one of my favorite characters. Same thing with Last Jedi. But if you go over to number 5, we've got Attack of the Clones. Now, this film was better than The Phantom Menace. It didn't have as much Jar Jar Binks, so we were able to focus more on the plot, in which we see Anakin and Padme's relationship developing, as well as Obi-Wan and Anakin's. It really sets up Revenge of the Sith really well. Now, it isn't the best film. It's got some issues with its plot, and it's got some issues with some of its animations and graphics, but it does do really good at setting up the Revenge of the Sith, which I think is very important because that is like one of my favorite movies. in the Star Wars universe. But if you go over to number 4, that is Empire Strikes Back for me. Now, other people may have this a little bit higher on the list. Personally, I could put Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi interchangeably. But Empire Strikes Back is a great film that shows that not always are the good guys going to win. The bad guys are going to win sometimes. And that is always interesting to be able to watch that and be like, oh, bad guys won. I got to see what happens next in the next film, which is set up perfectly by Empire Strikes Back, to see if Luke is able to save Han. Is Han completely in carbonite forever? It's really exciting to be able to have that momentum going into Return of the Jedi. But in number 3 for me, it's Star Wars, the original, A New Hope. Some people just call it Star Wars. Some people say it's the only Star Wars film, and all these other films I mentioned aren't Star Wars to them. But it's just a perfect film with a great story about Luke Skywalker and Ben Kenobi. Ben teaching Luke how to become a Jedi and then blowing up the Death Star. It's just a perfect film. The plot's great. It is a little old. It's one of the older films because, of course, it came in the original trilogy, but it still has relevance today as it is a great story that a lot of people watch every year. It's really exciting. And in number 2 for me, like I said, this one's kind of interchangeable with Empire Strikes Back. This is Return of the Jedi. I really love Return of the Jedi, and the reason I like it is I love seeing Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker clash. I love seeing Anakin turn back to the light side, in which he realizes that he was wrong, and right before he dies, he realizes that, and then as he dies, of course, the Death Star gets blown up. Anakin gets a proper funeral, and depending on what kind of person you are, if you want Hayden Christensen or the original Darth Vader as the Force goes, doesn't really matter to me. But you do have a great ending to that Star Wars trilogy. It felt satisfying. It was the only trilogy that really gave me a satisfying ending. So that's why it's so high on the list. And the number 1 spot is Revenge of the Sith for me. Now, I could really think that there could be other films that go here, so leave me a comment if you think that another film deserves to be in first place. But I really like this one because it's got the best plot. The action is great. The graphics are great. As you see Obi-Wan and Anakin fight, you can feel the betrayal that Padme and Anakin feel as Anakin feels like Padme's betraying him by leaving him. And you can feel Obi-Wan's betrayal. There's betrayal everywhere because Obi-Wan feels betrayed that Anakin turned to the dark side. It's full of emotions. It really sets up A New Hope pretty well. And it's just a really exciting film that I love a lot. So that's really my rankings for the Star Wars films that came out in the trilogies. If you notice, I didn't review movies like Solo: A Star Wars Story in this ranking because I wanted to stick to the original 3 trilogies and their 3 movies.